So tell me, when did you meet your wife and how did that happen?
Man, I knew my wife in college.
Okay.
And
this is for the ladies.
And she was bad. She was she was bad. Like the first time I ever saw her, I called her Wifey. I was like, oh, that's Wifey right there. Oh, she's gorgeous. Yeah, she was beautiful. I mean, long hair down her back, like just radiant smile, like all of those things. But I called her Wifey then in college, but I would never like really just shoot my shot at her or nothing like that because, it was, I knew I brought enough nonsense to the table that I didn't want to involve her in. I was just chasing girls and just being like any other college kid. You know what I'm saying? I just spent more time playing basketball and with the homies and, trying to bag as many females and get numbers as I could or whatever the case may be. And so I knew of her in school and we kind of socialized in the same circle. Some of her line sisters in the sorority that she was in were great friends of mine. And I used to tell like, yeah, put me down with her or whatever the case may be. But I never really took that serious until after I graduated college. And I was like, really in that transition point in my life, like, I'm tired of just meeting any girl. I want a girl that's just genuine, like that case, whatever the case may be. And I think I went out with my cousin and I don't remember if it was my graduation night or it might have been a night after that. It used to be a place that was really jumping called the M Bar. and I went one night and she just happened to be there and she just cut all her head off. She had this short little pixie cut. And I was like, oh, my cousin was like, man, who is that? And I was like, man, I said, that's Natasha. He's like, you know her? He said, you ain't never tried to holler at her? I was like, I mean, man, not really, you know what I'm saying? She ain't really that type of girl. He said, man, you need to go holler at her. So he kind of put the battery in my back. And then I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to go holler at her. And so went shot my shot, bought her a drink or whatever, and I was broke then too. We was all broke. So you bought a girl a drink when you was broke days, Yeah,
it was important.
Yeah. So got her number, asked her on a date or whatever, like to go to the movies, and she canceled on me the first date. And she canceled. And normally my ego would I would feel so like some type of, I don't even remember what excuse she gave me, but I would feel some type of way with my normal ego. But I was kind of like, you know what?
Type of way.
I'm gonna, let me try this again. So tried again and she agreed to come or whatever. And I remember we were driving to the place on the first date and she asked me, she's like, you been on any dates or whatever? And I was like, man, I might have been on a couple of dates. I ain't really, not really. And I was like, what about you? And she's like, well, yeah, I've been on a couple of, first dates, but I hadn't been on a second date. And so in my mind, I said, well, no matter what happens, I at least got to go on a second date with her to make sure that I'm not the same as every other guy, but at that point, after we went on our first date and then our second, we was locked in. Like I took her back to meet my family. I'm not even sure if we had been dating for maybe a month and a half. My mom was cooking, they were having a barbecue back home in Paris and I asked her to go with me. And when my mom met her, she was like, I don't care, whatever else you do, we keeping her. And so
that's how the family is, right?
And I remember she pulled me in her, Keith, she is so beautiful.
Oh,
she is,
inside and out.
And I was like, I know, and I'm probably grinning from ear to ear. She just had that kind of effect on me. So
Natasha is great.
Yeah, but we kind of were raised with the same values, the same core values. So it was easy for me to date her. Like we had the same kind of values in being brought up in the church and loving your family and knowing your great grandparents and those kind of things. So we shared in that.
Wow.
And so that made it easy. And like I tell people, it's we've done life together. We were broke together. We do great, like that kind of thing.
How many years of marriage?
We're approaching 10 years. So we're about to have our 10-year anniversary.
Okay.
In May. So
10 years, an 8-year-old and a
3-year-old.
And a 3-year-old.
Maddox and McKinley.
Maddox and McKinley. Listen, you keep little Maddox fly, and now you got this little girl coming up, and you're not gonna be able to do nothing with her.
Oh man, she's a tyrant. she's a mess.
So what you say? So is it true that you when they say him who finds a wife finds a good thing, did you know that Natasha was, you said you called her wifey early on.
Yeah.
Did you kind of know in your head? And I'm asking this question for the women because women spend a lot of time with men, right?
Mm-hmm.
That sometimes I think don't have the best intentions.
Sure.
And I guess I'm just wanting to ask the question for the girls. Do you pretty much know it when you see it? Almost
I think so. I would say so. Like, I did know it, and I would say through dating and times and things of that nature, like, it's so interesting. I've had this conversation so much recently, but I have a strong opinion on this. But
good. I want to hear it.
So, you said, women spend a lot of time with men. And, I think a lot of women spend time with men and feel like men are wasting their time. Back to your point of he who finds a wife finds a good thing. First of all, I don't think it's happenstance that most of the most successful men in the world are married. You know what I'm saying? From a standpoint of, them growing their careers and things like that, having that foundation at home propels you in a different way. But I say all of that to say women operate on timelines. When y'all started as a young girl, you said, okay, I want this, and that in my life. So it's I want to be married by this time. I want to have a kid by this time. I want to be at this space in my career. Men don't move like that. Men need something that pushes them in order to be successful. Right. So, because like me and my wife, we dated 5 years before I proposed to her. Now her timeline in her head is saying he should have proposed to me a long time ago. She's disgruntled about it and she's making it known. Mm-hmm. But the thing about men is we want to know, can I truly provide for this woman?
Wow.
If I'm going to be married, can I hold down this household financially? Can I provide for her spiritually? Am I ready for that spiritually and mentally to move forward? And can I be the leader that she needs? Because I love this girl.
Wow.
I want to be able to give her what she deserves, not just what she just wants. What I feel like she truly deserves is a man that's whole. Mm-hmm. And if a man does not feel that he is there yet, he is absolutely not going to move forward.